On this Earth Day weekend, we're in search of the quietest places in the land. Quiet places that are becoming less quiet every day. Lee Cowan has found the perfect guide.
The trail is narrowing, and it will continue to narrow as we go up.
This might sound a little odd, but Gordon Hempton may be the first person I've ever met who truly feeds his soul through the holes in his ears.
I want you to listen to your feet, okay?
Just the sound of our footsteps?
Yeah.
To him, nothing is more nourishing than pure, unpolluted, natural quiet.
So coming out here in the quiet's almost like taking a vitamin for you.
Oh, vitamin Q. It's good stuff.
Vitamin Q.
You can't buy it, but you can have it.
Sound of nature is very definitely an endangered species.
We first met Gordon 27 years ago.
We've also compromised on our ability to sense peace.
When Sunday Morning followed him around as he went about recording silence.
You get down low and you can hear the whoa, 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 whoa of the power of the surf being interpreted by this driftwood piece.
He calls himself the sound tracker. He's been all over the world listening to nature's soundscapes, and after all those years...
All right, Lee, here it is, the boardwalk.
He claims to have found one of the quietest spots in the lower 48 states. It's in the middle of the Hoh rainforest in Washington's Olympic National Park. Getting there is an adventure in being wet. The average rainfall here is anywhere between 12 and 14 feet. Yes, feet. But its soggy remoteness is actually the point. Gordon considers its silence so sacred, he won't allow anyone to utter a word.
Yeah. So in a little bit further, I'm going to look at you. I'm going to give you the look, and that means no whispering even. Okay. We won't talk. We're just going to go listen to the silence.
He calls it 1 square inch of silence, a project he started on Earth Day 12 years ago. It's his auditory line in the sand, a place he's trying to protect from all outside noise. Now, you might think that'd be a pretty easy task, way out here in the middle of nowhere, but...
There is no middle of nowhere if you take into account the sky.
As we talked just outside his 1 square inch of silence, we heard no fewer than 5 jets in less than an hour.
Listen what happens as that jet passes and grows louder and louder to the distant sound of the Hoh, which defines this valley against the mountainside.
You just don't hear it anymore.
It disappears.
Even the raindrops I can't hear anymore.
Yeah, you can't hear the raindrops.
To Gordon, it's only getting worse.
I think it'd be very difficult in the continental United States to find a place where you could go a day without hearing a noise, or even an hour without hearing noise.
Kurt Fristrup is with the National Park Service's Natural Sounds and Night Skies Division. Yes, there really is such a thing. Over the last decade, its scientists have placed hundreds of microphones in landscapes all over the country. Surveys show over 90% of the people who come to commune with nature come just as much for their ears as their eyes.
It's critical for people, for the quality of our experience, for the quality of our health, to provide these quiet places in the landscape where we can take refuge from the trials and stresses of everyday life and immerse ourselves in a natural world that's a little bit kinder and gentler to us.
But the noise we humans make, he says, is making it harder to find those places. And it's having real consequences for wildlife as well.
You know, if you're the mouse trying to avoid being eaten, if your hearing is masked by noise, that means the predator can get that much closer to you before you're aware of it.
You might be surprised at just how far a single piece of noise can travel in the quiet of nature. Rangers at Glacier National Park, for example, were getting complaints from hikers way out in the backcountry that they could hear motorcycles, even though there were no roads for miles.
This is Lake McDonald, which is, I think, about 10 miles long.
So Kurt was dispatched to see if that was possible. And according to acoustic modeling, it was.
You'll see as it comes out of this pass down towards the lake, the noise will spread all the way across the lake. End to end, that might be 15 miles, maybe farther.
Jeez. Again, that's one motorcycle.
Even if you don't perceive it as noise, they're still preventing you from hearing all the other sounds that we would like to preserve for you.
So we were trying to record red-legged frogs, which is...
Birdie Krause is trying to preserve nature's sounds, too. In fact, he's got some 5,000 hours of recordings, all meticulously documented in his studio near Napa Valley.
So here's the Pacific chorus frogs.
Good Lord. It was really loud.
Couldn't hear ourselves talk.
No.
What he's discovered by sheer volume is that in many of the places he set up his microphones, the voice of the natural world has changed.
Well, I've taken a look at my archive recently, and I think that over 50% of what I've recorded no longer exists. Either it's altogether silent, or it no longer exists in any of its original form.
He points to this recording he made in a Costa Rican rainforest back in 1989. He went back to that same spot 10 years later, after much of the nearby area had been logged. And this time, it sounded like this.
It's dramatic.
This great animal orchestra, as he calls it, has a lot to say. The early morning chorus of songbirds at California's Sugarloaf Ridge State Park is one of his favorites.
What these critters are doing is they're telling us how they're feeling about this particular time and place. And it's a narrative, it's a story.
A story Bernie says is being composed by nature every day. We just need to stop and listen. It used to be the Environmental Protection Agency did that, but in the 80s, the Office of Noise Abatement was closed, and with it, most of the federal government's ears, save the National Park Service, which leaves the listening largely to folks like Bernie, and of course, Gordon. When we left him at his 1 square inch of silence, he was diligently taking notes, and every once in a while, smiling at the tiniest of sounds, and wincing at the ones he wishes weren't there at all.
We save what we love at any cost. So when we fall back in love with planet Earth, that is when the environmental crisis will be solved.